The uninvited guest, I took a deep breath, pushed the heavy doors open, and walked into the large, grand room where the big company dinner was taking place. It was a very fancy night, and I looked very calm on the outside, almost like I was completely sure of myself, even though I did not feel that way deep down in my heart. The big, beautiful lights hanging from the high ceiling were shining brightly, looking like tiny stars, and they made everything look very pretty and expensive. As I moved into the space, I could hear the happy sound of glasses clinking together and the sound of many people laughing and talking at the same time. But as soon as I walked further inside, I felt the whole mood change. I felt many pairs of eyes looking at me, wondering who I was and why I was there. My wife was standing in the middle of the room, and she was in the middle of a big smile while talking to her friends. But her face just froze, like it was made of ice, the very second she saw me standing there. Her friends from her work started to lean in close to each other and whisper behind their hands, looking at me with mean eyes. Then her boss, who was a very tall man with a suit that looked very expensive, looked at me with a mean little smile on his face. He walked over and stood right in front of me. "You were not invited to this party," he said in a very sharp and cold way, trying to push me away so I would leave. I did not get angry or sad. I just gave him a very tiny smile, acting as if his mean words did not bother me at all. Everyone standing there watching us thought I would just turn around, put my head down, and leave the room feeling sad and beaten. But they did not know that I had a very different plan for the night. The whole room suddenly felt like it was holding its breath, and it got very quiet. Her coworkers were looking at each other with sneaky looks, feeling sure that I would just go away quietly and not cause any trouble. My wife's face turned very red, a deep shade of pink, because she was feeling very confused and worried about what was happening. She noticed that I was not moving an inch. I was staying right where I was. The big boss went back to the table and sat back in his chair. He was very surprised that I was still there, but he felt very sure that I was just a regular person with no power at all. I slowly looked around the big room, letting my silence be louder than any words I could have said. Every little laugh and every tiny whisper made the feeling in the air feel more tight and heavy. I had prepared for this very moment for a long time. I was not there to be made fun of or to be pushed around. I was there to show every person in that room the real truth. What I was going to say next would change everything for everyone there, and things would never be the same again. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag the big secret. Finally, after waiting for the right moment, I started to speak. My voice did not shake at all. It was very steady and clear so everyone could hear me. "It is very interesting that you talk about invitations," I said, looking the big boss right in his eyes without looking away. All the noise in the room stopped instantly. Everyone became very curious because they thought this guest was someone who should not be there. But then I told them the secret. I told them that this person, who they thought was nobody, actually owns 85% of this whole big company. A very big gasp filled the room, like everyone had lost their breath at the same time. The boss's sure and mean look broke into pieces for a second, and his face turned very white, like a ghost. My wife's mouth just fell open in total shock. Her friends from work, who were acting so mean and whispering just a minute ago, suddenly stopped talking and looked down at the floor. The feeling in the entire room changed completely from one second to the next. The night did not belong to the boss anymore. It belonged to me. I let those powerful words sink in for a bit so everyone could understand them. I began to walk slowly between the tables, making my way through the room to give everyone enough time to think about what I had just said. Some people just stared at me like they couldn't believe their eyes, and others began to whisper very fast to their friends about the news. The boss, who had just mocked me and tried to make me feel small, was now very pale and looked like he might faint. He could not hide how shocked and scared he was feeling. "So, when you say I was not invited," I said in a very calm and gentle voice, "it is a bit funny, isn't it? Really, when you think about it, this is my dinner party, too." Everyone kept their eyes on me as I moved. My wife looked very upset and sad, finally realizing how bad she had acted toward me. The boss was holding his water glass very tightly, and you could see that his hand was starting to shake because he was so scared of what would happen next. Hashtag, hashtag, hashtag a change in the room. Then there was a very long and heavy silence as the big truth settled into everyone's minds. Her friend from work started to move around in their chairs nervously, not knowing where to look. All their laughing and joking was completely gone now. "I did not know," the boss started to say, his voice sounding very weak. But I stopped him gently by raising my hand. I told him it was fine, and that he didn't need to explain. I said that most people do not go around checking who owns a company every single day. But tonight, I wanted to be there to remind everyone who is really in charge of the big numbers and the way things run. The news spread to the room like a fire, leaving everyone feeling very surprised and unsure. I walked a little closer to my wife and looked her directly in the eyes. I didn't say anything mean, but it was a quiet way to show her that she had been very wrong about me this whole time. I told the whole room that the person they thought was weak and unimportant had been holding on to most of the company for a very long time. The look on her face was something very special to see. She had been so sure that she was better than me before, and she had no idea how much power I really had in my hands. The boss's pale face showed everyone just how scared he was getting about his job. No one in the room expected this to happen when the night started. The room went from being a place of happy laughter to a place where everyone knew that things had changed forever. I moved slowly around the table to let the moment settle into the air. My calm way of acting changed who was in charge right away, without me even having to shout. Even the people who were whispering mean things before would not even look at me now, because they felt ashamed. My wife was moving around in her seat, feeling very uncomfortable as she realized the night was not going the way she thought it would. Hashtag, 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 the final lesson power, I said in a soft and kind voice, is not always something you can see right away with your eyes. Sometimes real power hides behind a person who stays quiet and has a lot of patience. Each word I said felt very strong and important. The boss, who used to be so loud and bossy, now looked very unsure and small. His hands were even shaking a little bit as he tried to stay calm. I leaned forward toward the table and made my voice even lower, so everyone had to lean in to hear me. I told them that if anyone here thinks this is just a normal dinner, they should remember that it is also a boardroom where big choices are made. Tonight, I told them I am the one who gets to decide who stays in their job, who gets to speak, and who gets nothing at all. A very deep and heavy quiet fell over the whole room. All the faces I saw showed that the people were shocked and very afraid of what I might do next. The boss tried to keep acting like he was a leader, but everyone in the room saw that I was truly the one in charge now. I took the seat at the very head of the long table, the seat for the leader. I took the power that everyone had ignored and laughed at just a few minutes ago. The old way of doing things was gone for good. My wife would not look at me, and I could tell she was very afraid of what this meant for us. Now, the boss wanted to see if I was happy or angry before he even dared to say a single word. Every little whisper and every small move from the guests showed that things were completely different now. I had changed everything in the room without being angry or mean. I just used the truth and waited for the right timing to say it. Power had moved quietly from one person to another, and everyone felt the weight of it. By the end of the night, the dinner was something that no person there would ever be able to forget. It was not just about talking or eating food. It was about showing everyone who was really the boss. I walked into that room as someone that nobody wanted there, and I left the room being the person in total control. My wife learned a very big lesson about the cost of making me feel small and unimportant. The boss was made to feel very humble and quiet, and every single co-worker there realized that you can't always tell who someone is just by looking at them or their clothes. The evening ended with a very big and shocked silence, proving to everyone that the quietest person in the room often has the most power of all. This is the end of the story that began with a simple walk into a room and ended with a complete change of everything we thought we knew about everyone and their place in the world.